While filming for Insight, we took 2 different 5-day winch trips, the first of which being in April up in Cincinnati. We stayed with my parents up there and kind of bounced around for the week. Trevor flew in on a Saturday night on the red eye, landed Sunday morning, and we got to work right away. The first spot we headed to was this spillway off the back of the lake, and the water was definitely running way faster than anticipated. It had been raining pretty heavily for the week before.
You guys gonna go stunt?
Oh yeah. On a kayak? Wakeboard.
Okay.
Thanks, man. Thanks, boys.
Sucking the thing down.
I had originally planned on hitting a higher portion of the rail upstream further, but with the current running as fast as it was, there was no way I could get the kicker down there. This guy was not stoked and called the cops pretty much immediately. Gunther Oka had been there the year prior, I believe, and bit off like a really big piece of the rail. I set up at about 30 or 40 feet. So we knew the cops were on the way, and we tried to make the most of the time that we had left before they got there. Getting back to the start was a process between waiting in that water, running along the dock. Once I was strapped in, it was pretty easy to get started. After a couple front lips, I started trying front boards. On this try, I went over the far side and flopped into the water, luckily missing the concrete as I fell. My dad was ripping the paddleboard all day, and it was a big help on getting across the heavy current. The cops had came and kind of given us the boot and left, so my dad went up to the parking lot to watch for him and yelled down that we were good. We tried a couple more times and got it. What was funny is on the handle pass out, I missed for the first grab and then reach again for the handle and get it the second time. I thought that was hilarious. The next morning, we headed up to Dayton, Ohio, to a spot that I had been checking out for a while. Ran up and put a pulley up on the bridge.
We good? This stuff is so muddy right here.
What was really funny about this spot was Dylan Miller had stopped in sometime the year before on a road trip and waxed up the ledge and gotten ready to hit it, and the cops showed up and kicked him out. We had way better luck. I think we were there for almost 4 hours before we left. Having the pulley super high up in the air on the bridge overpass was such a clutch move, and we kept the rope free for snagging on the kicker of the ledge and just like almost fell in the cable park. Ended up getting this hard way to back lip pretty quickly, and we decided to move on to the next spot for the day. My buddy Garrett that had been running the winch for us that morning in Dayton had to hit the road and get going, so we were down to just a 2-man crew with me and Trevor. We headed out to another spot that Austin Pratt had sent us a pin to. He said it was a massive spillway off the back of the lake. So there we were, me and Trevor. He was running the winch, running the camera on the tripod, and trying to fly the heli all at once. So it was definitely kind of a shit show. The cops showed up like, I guess, 10 minutes maybe after that fall, and yeah, we got the boot, so we just kind of called it quits. The next morning we headed up to Fairfield next to the cable park. There was this like big grass gap where both ponds were pretty much the same level, and there was a big grass hill in between. I had been planning on jumping from the bottom of the one leg up over the grass hill and land on the other backside of the hill, but that did not go to plan, and I ended up like pretty much smashing into the face of the hill quite a few times, getting the pop figured out on the kicker. One thing we noticed like immediately upon showing up was there was so many grass carp in the lakes. I mean, like I'm talking like hundreds and hundreds, and yeah, so I did not mind falling in the grass and not the water because they were kind of scaring me. Not to say these tumbles didn't hurt. They definitely didn't feel good.
Man, that really hurt.
Kind of got to a point where I didn't know if I should keep trying or if we should just pack up and head to the next spot. I decided to give it a couple more. Trev gracefully crashed the heli there and just lifted it back up.
Alright, we should be good.
So I want to say it was the try right after one of the hard falls. I just was like, alright, I'm giving it my everything. I'm going to push as hard as I can off this kicker. And I just barely made it up. Hopped again to the grass, did a little carve, got some water in there, and called it good.
Oh my gosh, I nailed it! Do you like that one? Yes!
packed up the kicker in the van and grabbed some lunch, and while we were sitting there, we pulled up my Google Maps and kind of looked at what was in range to still be able to hit for the day. We only had a couple hours of daylight left, so we knew nothing with the kicker, but I had one spot in mind that I really wanted to save for the end of the week because I didn't know how I was going to go. But we headed out, checked it out. It was a massive spillway that I had been eyeing up for a year, so Trevor pretty much told me that if I wasn't going to try, that he would do it. So that kind of lit a fire under my butt, and I swam the rope out and gave it a go. Almost immediately, I lost rope tension. It was pretty much just surfing down the thing, trying not to run over my rope. My heart starts beating fast, like thinking about it. It was exhilarating, to say the least. We were using the moto winch for this whole project, and it had 3 speed settings: low, medium, and high. The first pull in, I did it on low. And from there, I just knew I wanted to take it faster and faster to go bigger.
Lost track of where the rope was.
I'll show you.
Kind of panicked there for a second.
The walk back up to the top took so long, and then I would sit there, pull on the rope 3 times to show my dad that I was ready to go. He would fire up the winch and pull me in. I think that was the medium setting, and then these are shots from the high setting on the winch, going as fast as I could into it and popping as big as I could. Pretty stoked on the way I carved out that one, and yeah, I could not be happier with the shot that I got there.
Holy shit.
The feeling of carving down that thing was just like kind of a snowboard. I had no tension, so it was straight just carving and hoping not to catch an edge before the abrupt bottom.
Doesn't look weird. This doesn't look weird.
The next morning, we met up with my buddy Zach to hit another grass gap right up next to the cable park. We parked across the street, ran in, carrying the winch, and this is another time that the moto winch, with being how small and quiet it is, just came in so handy.
All right, I'm gonna go up in between those 2 trees and come through the 2 trees first pool. Goal's to go over those bushes.
Left side.
See the bushes?
Yep.
The tree and the bushes?
Yeah.
And then the tree to the left?
Oh shit, I'm thinking over here. I see, okay, there's a pond right there.
Yeah.
Alright, I haven't walked it. Full speed ahead, bud. Fine. Yep, you're good.
The first try, I just ollied between a couple of the trees to get a feel for how far I could ollie down the hill. And then from there, I moved over to go between a couple of the bushes. So it was like a big, long ollie, and then I had to land in like basically a hallway of bushes. So it kind of was like a skatey feel, and it was a fun one. Got in and out super quick on this one. I want to say it was like 15, 20 minutes, maybe 4 tries. From there, we headed over to a Home Depot to slap together a quick kicker for the next spot, and headed 2 hours north up to a low head dam that had basically like a guardrail running flat and then down, making a perfect handrail. Gunther Oka had been here also and jumped down the gap and then kickered back up onto the rail, so I wanted to do things a little differently. I went from the outside, ollied onto the concrete, slid into it, and then kicker onto the down rail. This spot was like a dream come true. I had checked it out a couple years ago and was like, oh, it's like scary, but it's definitely doable, and it definitely worked out. We weren't able to get a very high pull point for the winch on this spot, so the rope actually snagged the kicker on that try, and I almost really had it handed to me. A couple tries later, before I had even gotten wet, I got away with this toe side 270 switchback lip, and honestly, like, wasn't gonna try anything harder or scarier, so we packed it up and called it a night.
Gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh, let's get it!
I've got to like snap my hips around and just hope I don't come off into the railroad ties.
So it was the last day of the trip. We headed out to one spot to check out. There was way too much water and it was kind of flooded out. So Trevor pulled up Google Maps. A few seconds later, he's like, hey, what's this? And we drove an hour west and showed up to this spillway. It had like 2 inches of water running over it, and it was absolutely perfect. The climb back out was definitely slippery and a bit of a process.
Okay, ready.
Once I got comfy with the feeling of the landing, I started trying tantrums into it and got that figured out pretty quickly. From there, I wanted to take it to blind, and normally this is something that comes pretty easily for me, but this one was a struggle. And it was raining, and Trevor was flying the heli in the rain, kind of losing his mind. I think we all were. This guy was out on a jog and stopped by to check it out. He was mind blown at like what we were doing and so excited about it. He was so helpful, helping with the rope, getting snagged from the poles and everything. The guy helping out must have brought some good vibes or something, because the next try, sure enough, we got it. We were all so tired, wet, and hungry. We just packed up pretty quickly and got out of there. And that wrapped up the week of filming in Cincinnati. Never would have I expected it to go so smoothly, or we get so many shots. And to date, it's still like one of my favorite winch trips I've ever been on, if not my favorite. Massive, massive thanks to my family for taking such good care of me and Trevor for the week, and especially to my dad for coming out and helping out on almost all the spots. So big thanks to Hyperlight Wakeboards as well, and Trever Maur, part 3 coming soon.